Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to this new episode of Sudan in Focus weekly news magazine, which focuses on Sudan news and events, aims to give the Sudan TV audience a broad and first-hand information about what is going on in Sudan. So let's go.
Welcome, dear viewers, to this new weekly program about Sudan in international media outlet. This is a weekly program retracing what the international media have said in its covering to the events that took place in Sudan. This edition, we will concentrate it to the recent victories gained by Sudan armed forces and its allies against the rebel militia RSF, mainly around the capital Khartoum. International media in general and the Western media in particular have closely monitored the major and successive victories scored by the Sudanese armed forces and its allied military forces during the past few days. A report published by the BBC website on Friday evening stated that the Sudanese army is making huge gains in its quest to retake the war-torn capital, recording its biggest victory in a year. The report referred to the statement of Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, President of the Sovereignty Council and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Very soon there will be no repairs in Khartoum. The report also referred to the joy of many residents of the areas recently retaken by the army, as the Rapid Support Forces were widely accused of killing and rape of civilians in Khartoum, in addition to looting the homes of many residents who fled the city. As for the position of Al-Daglo militia, the report showed that the Rapid Support Forces denied reports of army's progress, describing them as lies and rumors. It denied this in the same way before each withdrawal in recent weeks. The report also referred to the concern of the collaborators with the Rapid Support Forces, some of whom led the militia armed men into people's homes. Some of them joined the militia forces and stole property, terrorized people, even held women against their will as sex slaves. They did horrible things. From Germany, Western media platforms began focusing on news of victories last Tuesday as the army tightened the news to Khartoum. The title of a news item published by the German radio station Deutsche Welle was to ask the following question: Sudan, is the bloody war heading towards its end? The news item reported that the latest achievements made by the Sudanese armed forces against the Rapid Support Forces militia in Khartoum and the city of Omdurman indicate a change in the bitter and bloody stalemate that dominated the past months of the war, with the return of the key strategic points to the Sudanese armed forces, adding that observers believe that Darfur will become the last major battlefield. The news item referred to the ending of the siege of the General Command in Khartoum and Burhan's return to the offices there for the first time in nearly 2 years. Deutsche Welle quoted a researcher at the German Institute for Global and Regional Studies as saying that the fall of Wad Madani into the hands of the Rapid Support Force in December 2023 caused shock to the entire country, especially since this was followed by the Rapid Support Forces burning crops, setting fire on farms, and destroying agricultural equipment. They also used hunger as a weapon against the Sudanese people in order to impose control, adding that this was the moment when food insecurity worsened a hundredfold, at the strategic importance of Wad Madani as the scorched earth tactics of the rebel Rapid Support Forces destroyed Sudan's breadbasket. Reporters said that the countdown of the end of the war had begun and the battlefield had moved to Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur state, which had been under the siege by the Al-Daglo militia since May 2024. From the United States, foreignpolicy.com, why Sudanese democracy activists are now backing the army. As RSF rebel began committing atrocities, young activists joined the Sudan Armed Forces. Published in February 3, the 2 years into Sudan's catastrophic war, a glimmer of hope is emerging as the Sudanese armed forces make significant advances. Recent weeks have seen the SAF Sudanese armed forces reclaim substantial territory in the states of Sinnar and Al Jazeera, drawing closer to the capital Khartoum, where it broke the siege of its headquarters. The liberation of Madani in Jazeera capital from the Rapid Support Forces has sparked widespread celebrations among Sudanese citizens, rekindling hopes of returning home after years of displacement and suffering. While international observers attribute these advances to regional support, with Egypt, Qatar, and Iran backing the SAF, while the United Arab Emirates and Chad supported the Rapid Support Forces, a critical yet unexplored dynamic is at play: the mobilization of young Sudanese democratic activists who were once vocal critics of the military. Some of these activists have taken up arms against the Rapid Support Forces, seeing the militia as the greater threat to Sudan's sovereignty and future. The Voice of America website addressed the militia's attack last Tuesday on a Now hospital in Omdurman under the title "5 Killed in Hospital Bombing in Sudan," quoting statements by a medical source speaking to Agence France Presse. According to the source, the Rapid Support Militia, which has been waging a war against the army since April 2023, fired shells that fell in the garden next to the hospital building. It also reported the attack by rebels belonging to the Sudan People's Liberation Movement North, led by Abdelaziz al-Hilo, and their shelling of Kadugli, the capital of South Kordofan, محمد, which is controlled by the Sudanese forces. It indicated that the shelling resulted in the death of 40 people and injury of 70 others. It quoted the governor of South Kordofan, محمد Ibrahim, as saying that al-Hilo's attack targeted a market in Kadugli to destabilize the region, adding that this rebel movement, based in the states of South Kordofan and Blue Nile, has been fighting the National Army and paramilitary forces of the Republic of Sudan since the beginning of the war. For its part, the American agency indicated that the Sudanese armed forces continue their advance to regain control of Khartoum and wonders whether this is a turning point in the Sudanese conflict. These recent victories in central Khartoum have brought the army very close to the stronghold and command center of the militias of Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. From Canada, the Canadian newspaper La Place reported Thursday, quoting Doctors Without Borders in a statement, that its teams are treating a massive influx of war wounded in Khartoum and the states of North Darfur and South Darfur. Similar scenes occurred in a Now hospital in Omdurman, which has bombed several times this week by the Rapid Support Militia, as well as the field hospital in the Zamzam camp for displaced people in North Darfur. The militia forces arrested the doctor of Al-Bashir Hospital, the last partially functioning hospital in the area, and the director of the community kitchen, and a local volunteer, according to the emergency room in South neighborhood of Khartoum. The newspaper referred to a study conducted by London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, the result of which showed that 26,000 people are killed in the capital alone between April 2023 and June 2024. France. For its part, the French newspaper Le Figaro reported Friday the United Nations concern about the rising death toll, noting that the Sudanese army launched an attack on several axes in recent weeks to regain full control of the capital Khartoum. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said it documented at least 275 civilian deaths between January 20 and February 5, and drone attacks in Khartoum, as well as in North Darfur, South Darfur, North Kordofan, and South Kordofan. It said the figures were more than 3 times higher than the highest number reported by the UN Human Rights Council, about 89 deaths recorded in the previous week. The organization stated that the actual death toll may be much higher than the numbers it was able to verify. The website of the TV Sync, the global TV Sync World, Thursday quoted a military source as saying that the Sudanese army advanced toward the center of Khartoum on several axes and is near to the presidential palace. It added that the army's advance towards the capital represents its biggest victory in a year since it recaptured the city of Omdurman. From Africa, the African site allafrica.com website published this Friday what it considered the stubbornness of Rapid Support Forces leaders and their denial of the army's victories. The website quoted the leader Mak Abu Shotal's statement in social media denying the escape of a large number of Rapid Support Forces in Khartoum and stating that the fighting continues. The website reported that the Kalakla Guba residence and resistance committees accused the Rapid Support Forces of killing 4 men in the neighborhood last Wednesday. They said in a statement on their Facebook page that when the army bombed Jabal Awliya bridge, a large number of angry militia members fled from Jabal Awliya to neighboring Kalakla, where they attacked citizens, killed 3 brothers and their cousin, and looted homes. Despite all these developments on the ground, such as the decline and retreat of the militia, which is one of the verge of extinction, and despite the many statements and confirmation from citizens and several UN and international organizations that the militia has committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, these organizations and media institutions failed to have the courage to describe the Rapid Support Forces as a terrorist group, while the term terrorism lambasted by the international community on groups that have committed crimes much less serious in terms of the extent of the damage and in terms of the number of times they recurrences. With this, we come to the end of this weekly program about Sudan in international media.
Minister of Energy and Oil, Dr. Muhyiddin Naim, said that during his recent visit to China, accompanying President of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, TSC, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the China National Petroleum Corporation, CNPC, confirmed its readiness to check the refinery after the war for reconstructions. This came during his visit to the Khartoum refinery after its liberation from the filth of the rebel militia. They were received by the Director General of the Khartoum refinery, Engineer Ala ad-Din, and a number of engineers and technicians. The minister explained the extent of the vandalism, indicating that many units inside the refinery were damaged. The minister revealed the loss of approximately 700,000 barrels of gas oil equivalent to the load of a ship, stating that despite the large losses, the workers are very enthusiastic about reconstruction as soon as possible. Abdullah Yahya affirmed the state's interest in the agricultural investments areas. The Sovereignty Council member, during his inspection of the Awlad al-Mubarak agricultural project in Ad-Dabba locality in the northern state, praised the role of the private sector in investing the field of agriculture to achieve food security, absorb and employ workers, and combat unemployment. It's noteworthy that the project extends over an area of more than 15,000 acres to cultivate wheat as main crop, in addition to clover, vegetables, and legumes, as it depends on irrigation from the Nile and depends on electricity and solar energy for operation. Jihad Group of Engineering Industries, one of the largest industrial groups affected by the war that erupted in the year 2023 and continues so far between the Sudanese armed forces and the rebel Rabit militia. Nevertheless, Jihad Company regained its name and was able to appear in the recent period after a number of arrangements that the group put in place to advance again. Besides playing its role towards community, will provide the most needs and playing its role in the framework of social responsibility in this critical period. To determine this, SUNA conducted a dialogue with Engineer Omar Muhammad Magzoub Diab, Director of Jihad Holding Company, in which he answered many of the company's betrayal and its look for the future. Jihad is heading to operate the electrical and hybrid vehicle production line and works to bridge the large gap in agriculture inputs, alternative energy and cleaning mechanism.
Wild animals means forms of animal and plant that can play an essential role in preserving the natural balance of life on our planet. The economic importance of wild animals in Sudan is represented in the natural resources beside exports of wild animals that can make a significant contribution to the total value of Sudanese export. It also includes state revenues from local fees such as customs, quarantine, taxes and zakat. Wild animals also have economic importance in achieving food security and non-monetary importance represented in the role they play through their interaction with the environment to achieve a natural balance and to enhance tourism, heritage, education. Sudan is considered to have the environmental, economic and social components for the success of any investment projects, as there are currently, according to available data, Dende Reserve is one of 10 global reserves classified as biosphere reserves because it contains the rarest species of animals and birds, as it includes 27 species of small mammal, 200 species of bird and 32 species of fish and other reptiles and other animal species.
Al-Tijani Haj Musa, as he sometimes writes, is a multi-talent Sudanese poet. He is also composer of songs, journalist in the field of artists and literature, and a prominent media scholar known in Sudan, artist and media arena, and presented many famous poetic works. He was born in the city of Al-Duwaim, the current state of White Nile, on December 22, 1949, and grew up with his grandfather to his mother, the Lady Dar es-Salam. After the death of his father when he was 2 years old, like other members of his generation, he enrolled in solitude and study in arena runs by his grandfather, the principal of writing, reading, and religious science, where he memorized some surahs of the Surah al-Quran. Then he studied at the Bakht al-Rida Institute, now Bakht al-Rida University for Education, in Al-Duwaim 4 years, and was known during that period for his excellence in lessons and other school activities, where he headed literary as the institute. He received his intermediate education at Al-Duwaim Al-Wusta National School before moving to the Trigal capital and living with his grandfather in the Al-Abbasiyya neighborhood of Durman. He received his secondary school in Khartoum and university at Cairo University Khartoum branch, now An-Nilan University, Faculty of Law. The 70s of the last century witnessed the commercialization of his literary and poetic works, where he wrote one of his most famous poems, which he published on the Day on Education at the Institute of Education بمبادرة, and tells his longing and the nostalgia for the mother, which the poems My Mother Dar es Salaam in Al-Tijani. The personality of the writer board emerged through the forums that were held at the time with a group of symbols of the culture movement who were greatly influenced at the beginning of his poetic experience, including Mubarak al-Maqrabi, Salah Ahmed Ibrahim, Awad Ahmed Khalifa. His poetic text varies to include the text of lyrics poetry written in the Sudanese colloquially, especially at the beginning of his literature career in 1970. And the poem Places of Longing, sung by Zaidan Ibrahim, period his literature activity. Also include writing for children and presented in the field to many literature works such as plays and poems, including the play Daughter of the Fish, which he produced in cooperation with Yusuf Hassan as-Siddiq, and the poem Say Good Morning and Thank You, and separated our school teacher and the other. Al-Tijani Haj Musa is a member of many voluntary organizations, including the Sudanese Association for the Care of the Elderly, which was established. He is also a member of the board of directors of the Ad-Daw Haddouj Foundation for the Displaced and the Elderly in Khartoum, Bahri, and a member of Sudanese Blind Union. He participated in the Conference of Writers and Artists in Trablus, Libya, Sana'a, Yemen, and Seoul, Korea as the innovation of the Sudanese Ministry of Culture, and visit in Jamena, Jed, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Kenya. He also visited the Egyptian capital Cairo to join television episode with Mr. Hamdi Badreddin on the night's program in the field. He traveled to Geneva, sweet grants to principals in the general intellectual poetry works. He issued several Jawi poetry, on of which was printed on the Diwan of Tabarih al-Hawa, which he continued as to musical works, and it has 4 more office in the process of being released. Influence in his works by poets such as Abu Tayyib al-Mutanabbi, who memorized him, and poems Ahmed Shawgi, Hafiz Ibrahim, Muhammad Sami al-Barudi, Ilya Abu Madi, Abu Qasim al-Shabi. As for the internal level, the Ajmer, the poet Salah Abd Sayyid Abu Salah, who was writing slang on the poet Muhammad Bashir Atiq, who was lived by the poet Al-Abbadi and Siddiq Al-Madani and Muhammad Yusuf Musa and Ishaq Al-Halangi. Al-Tijani worked in the field of journalism and lecture in the Sudanese universities such as Rabat National University, and prepared a lot of working paper and research for many conferences outside Sudan and inside. He worked as presenter of radio and television programs in Sudan.
عزة